Welcome to Live Action Star Wars. I'm Ralph.
I'm James.
And today we are discussing Andor,
Andor what?
episode one. Episode one.
Yeah, literally, like we were both
Kind of nice.
surprised. No episode titles for this show, it seems.
Right.
Um,
I mean, what would you even call this?
that's it. That's. I mean, I said this to you when we were just talking before the show. Like, there's something about not having an individual episode title kind of makes it feel like it's just one big story as opposed to episodic. Like
Right.
Mandalorian,
Which,
I enjoyed Mandalorian, but it definitely has an episodic feel to it. It's not
yeah.
bounty of the week, but it's bit of the week, it's planet of the week, cameo of the week, whatever you want to call it. It has that sort of feeling to it. So just calling this episode one does just make it a big story.
Yeah, and this is going to make things a lot easier for me moving forward.
Yeah, definitely.
I sent a tweet out yesterday because I was like, it's a time crunch. Like me getting up, watching this, and getting ready, and getting the art up, and you do your side of the things, I do my side of things, so that we're ready to go by 7:30. I was like desperate. I'm like, I want to have a template completely set up so that after I watch the episode, I can just drop in the words, drop in a still frame, and then go. And the temporary, like if you're at liveactionstarwars.com, you can see that I put up temporary artwork for the next two episodes that are happening tomorrow and Friday. This one worked out. Where I didn't have to change
it was quite nicely. I'm pretty sure it was a steal from this episide.
But so like I feel like it made things easier on me.
For sure.
Lucha Johnny mentions hope you're feeling better. Yeah, so here's the thing for the audio listeners. There was supposed to be a regular episode last week where we covered Troops, which was James's pick, and I was out. I couldn't do it.
It was a last minute thing. Like you were hoping to be there pretty much up until like an hour before.
I almost didn't make it to the data link episode. So that's how long this has been going on for. This has been going on for 2 weeks. I have a kidney stone, and it's 5 millimeters, which is not very big. In the grand scheme of the universe, 5 millimeters is very small.
But for a kidney stone,
the tube it's traveling through is 3 millimeters. So
yeah, the math there does not work out in your favor.
Yeah. So it's been insane couple of weeks, and it started flaring up again yesterday. Like I had a 24-hour period where like I slept great, everything was going good, and then it like literally I think I did something like Twitter wise, or I talked to you about the show today, and then I said, fuck. It's just started up again.
I mean, I think your tweet was just God damn it or something. Like it was I following Ralph's kidney stone on Twitter, it almost needs its own account at this point because you know it's been picking soundtracks, it picked a really good Beck song. It's been a minute.
This is I don't know why I'm gonna tell this story. We're gonna get to Andor, trust me.
We will.
So I was feeling pretty bad a couple nights ago, and I was out of meds. I had run out of meds. I've been just on ibuprofen. I'm like, I can't, this is not helping me. So I went to get a refill. I felt okay enough. I drove to get a refill, and I'm like, I'm getting Taco Bell. Mexican pizzas are back. I'm feeling okay right now. And I went to the Taco Bell, and I sat down in the dining room and had my Mexican pizza. And right as I was finishing it, that Beck song, Up All Night, played. And it brought me, I love that song. It brought me so much joy because I was out of the house for the first time in like a week and a half.
It's just a good party tune. It's a good like upbeat.
Mexican pizza's back and Beck. Like at a time,
it's all coming up, Ralph.
Right. And so like I was like, oh, it's kind of funny. I was thinking about it on the way home, like, oh, it's funny because I was up all night the night before and the song, and I was like, yeah, that's my stone is sing that song. And so I tweeted about that. But it's been like, dude, it's been so rough. I mentioned to you this before we went live that it started acting up again while I was watching Andor this morning at 6. So I want to thank Lucasfilm for calling this episode 1 and making my job a lot easier this morning.
I think your sentient kidney stone is just excited. I think it's just been eagerly anticipating it, and now that like once you've watched episodes 2 and 3, it's just gonna go and it'll just be like, yep, cool, I'm good now. Thanks, guys. See you later.
I probably could have got a full night's sleep last night, but I got to be honest with you, like I think I was awake because it wasn't nagging me that much. But I think I was awake because I'm like, there's new Star Wars. So I got up at 1 a.m. and I'm like, I'll use the bathroom, but I took my phone with me because I'm like, okay, let's see how long this thing is.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like 46 minutes. Okay, good. I could wake up at 5:30, get ready.
7 minutes of that is like the credits at the end.
Yeah. So I'm like, it's called episode 1. Perfect. And I went back to bed and it was all good. But so Lucasfilm made it pretty easy for me on this. And I was like, but before I fell back asleep, I'm like, maybe they're just calling it episode 1 on Disney Plus so that it's not a spoiler. And that episode is going to be in the episode. But
yeah, they've done that before. I think they did that with Obi-Wan. Yeah, they've done that, I'm sure, with a couple of things.
I mean, our artwork is pretty much a standard template. And so I'm like, it's not going to take me forever to knock it out, but I'm like, I'm really anxious. It's a new Star Wars show.
Want to get it right.
Yeah. So
that's the thing. Anyway. Like these, we always see an uptick of people checking out like these first episodes of the new series and everything. So it's one that like I don't know. We always sort of try and nail, definitely.
Yeah.
We should say hi to a few people. We said hi to Lucha Johnny already. Jeremy's here. He was up. He watched it at the same time as you did. Rick also here. He hasn't watched the show yet, but he just wanted to say hi and wish you well.
Thanks,
Rick. If you're still here, watch the show, then come back. You know where we'll be. Yeah. And Stevie is here, and has been suffering alongside with you by the sounds of things.
Yeah. She's. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to describe. I can describe the pain. It's not fun.
Yeah.
Go on my Twitter feed. But
it's there.
I mean, like we're in a 1-bedroom apartment, and she gets up for work like at 6 in the morning, and so like I can't be writhing around in pain in bed, and so a lot of the times is spent pacing back and forth in the living room.
Oh man!
In the middle of the night, like all night long. The other like 3 nights ago, I went to bed at 5 in the morning and got an hour sleep before it started acting up again. And then the next night, I went to bed at 6:30 in the morning after she was already awake, and I slept for about 45 minutes. So like luckily things are like on the uptick. It's still in there. I can feel it now. It's still in there, but
if Ralph seems a little extra loopy to anyone over the next couple of days, that's why.
Yeah, that's the thing is like we're going to be able to track this thing.
That's it. We got 3 days of podcast.
Does come out. Yeah, man, I have so many podcasts to do in the next couple of days. Like I have a Cue the Music. I am going to be live with Jay on Geek Dad Life 2 to talk about Andor. I've got a Saturday serial to do. And it's and then these
just a quiet end of the week for you.
And I could just picture Amazon deciding to drop the first 3 episodes of Invincible as a surprise.
Yeah, right.
So we'll have to
scramble and then do them as well.
Did you mention that StreamYard is here?
Sorry, StreamYard. I forget. I'm sorry. It's because like they jump in, they have their comment at the top, and then they don't really they just linger and they just watch from the sidelines.
Also, I noticed yesterday in the comments, Mark Vibert said, "Have a good show." He's not here right now, but that comment disappeared. But
Mark hopefully is watching this at some point. Mark helped me out because they put up. I don't know if it was a new poster or a fan made poster of the show. And I put it on Twitter, and I wanted basically a stripped down version without. And Mark managed to get one done like really quick, and it's really cool. Yeah. And I do have it as a lock screen on my phone.
It's a cool poster that looks like the top view of the Senate.
It's the Imperial Senate, but then like odd little. Some of the pods are rebel spies and stuff like that. It's great, love it. Let's talk about Andor. We're 10 minutes in. We should get to the show.
Yeah.
It's not a long episode, thankfully, so we don't have to worry about too much. And I took some notes because I watched it through twice, but not that many. Yeah,
it's okay. So here's the thing. Like a lot of stuff happens.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we don't know what's happening.
No, it's the opening act, but I feel like it's I don't know, personal opinion after the second viewing, I feel like it's as an opening act, I get to feel and I get to know this world a lot better. Like the
Yeah,
world that he's on. Like, is it one of Morlani? It's not Morlani one. That's where we first open up. It's in the
right.
Morlani or Morlana sector. It's yeah, it's. I feel like I know the geography of the town a bit better, and
Mhm.
I'm sure that it's something to do with the fact that they built a lot of this, like practically. This wasn't on the volume, so like they had
Yeah,
a layout to the streets, so you get a feeling for like where things are in relation to other things, and
yeah,
it feels lived in. Like there's not just with the hustle and bustle and the sheep, but there's characters. Even if we don't meet them by name, some of them we do, but if we don't meet them by name, like they seem to all be doing stuff, not just there filling in the background.
background guys. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
There
and I
was one
love that.
background guy that creeps me and Stevie out, and you probably noticed he's like walking around like he's
I
creeping,
yeah
and then he's got a crazy smile. Who the
yeah
fuck is that guy?
yeah. I mean
That
that
guy
guy is
was
tripping.
that guy. He's like
I
a
can
crazy person, like talking on the subway guy.
yeah
Like he was
yeah.
really bizarre.
I know I think Andor is walking from left to right across the frame,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he's
yeah.
sort of just behind him. I saw exactly the same guy. Um, yeah. I mean, that like was it an awkward
Unsettling.
prosthetic? Did the guy not? Could he not see? I reckon it was just a character choice, though. I think he was just like, okay, cool, right? I can see what I'll look like. Let's get weird with it.
Yeah.
Jeremy points out here the droid is great. So when we first cut to this planet, we're following the droid B2 Emo, B2 EMO.
Mhm.
They refer to him as B or B2, I think, quite a bit. And he is great. When we first,
Sorry.
yeah,
Eddie
I mean,
Izzard. I'm the
it,
creeping kid. Starring the creeping kid.
if we find out that that's Eddie Izzard in that prosthetic, then that'd be amazing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, get Eddie Izzard in a Star Wars, please.
Oh man.
That'd be amazing.
Imperial officer would be too obvious, but he'd be really good.
It'd be really good. Back to Jeremy's comment about the droid though. When we first see that droid like rolling through town, I was like, it looks very sparse. It looks like desolate.
Yeah,
But I mean, I think that was like it's early morning. It's before anyone's woken up, so
right.
it makes sense. There's a couple of people in the backgrounds, but yeah,
What do you think of the voice?
I was surprised that it had
Yes.
a voice, not just like beeps and boops. But I liked it. I thought it was cool. He's
Yeah.
got personality.
Yeah, I like the stutter.
Yeah,
It it it's sounded like either a robot from the 80s or the 50s, like a very I am a robot, which
yeah.
I kind
I
of
was
dug.
into it. Yeah.
But to hear a sort of an astromech looking droid speak
Mm.
basic
Doesn't
is
like to be peed on. It's not
no.
into. It doesn't have like that.
Those
Kink.
dogs creep me out.
So is that the same dogs from Solo, the ones on Corellia?
Well, I think the dogs that peed on him were different dogs that the guy had later, and I feel like
scrapyard. Okay.
yeah, I feel like the dog that the guy had in the scrapyard was the same dogs that Moloch had in Solo.
Yeah.
But the ones at the beginning had this crazy grin. They almost look like the demon dogs from Ghostbusters.
Yes.
Or the terror dogs. What are they called? Terror dogs?
That's something like that. Jay will know.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I liked about that is if they're not exactly the same as the ones in Solo, but that's good because like not all dogs have to look exactly the same. They could all be of the same sort of like the same genus, but not the same species, if that makes sense. Like they're
like
all,
it's a terrier.
They're all this type
like
of
there's
dog.
different kinds of terriers.
They're all dogs, but like they're just different types.
Right. I took one note.
Cool.
And it happened before this, and it happened very first thing.
Yeah.
We're in 5 BBY.
Or BBY 5.
And this is for me, I'm like, because they had the words come up, like the planet and sort of like a brief description of the system, and then said like 5 BBY.
What it was, who it's run by, basically. Like we know that it's in the corporate sector.
And I was like, oh, that's just some technical mumbo jumbo. I'm like, no, wait, BBY.
Yeah.
Like this is the first time we've seen BBY
before
in
Battle
Star
of
Wars.
Yavin. But that's the thing. Like, I know what that means. You know what that means. Like anyone who's watching this show probably is going to know what that means. But when I watch this later on with Liz, when that comes up, I'm going to have to say like, that's a date. That's a date to sort of like locate us in relation to the movies. And I don't know, there's part of me is like, fair play to them for not explaining what BBY is, but also part of me is like, this one time, if you just show it this one time, I don't mind if you put before the Battle of Yavin.
Yeah.
Like that, because a lot of people are going to be like, what the hell is BBY? That alone, I think, will drive clicks to so many articles that people are going to write today about like, what does BBY mean for Andor? Like,
yeah. It's funny because of course I blurted out to Stevie, that means before Battle of Yavin.
Of course
I have to. But it's such a funny point in time to decide is the base.
Yeah.
And
I feel like it would make a lot of sense if in Rogue One we'd had like BBY minus a week. Like if Rogue One had gone with a BBY and had told us this is basically right before, then it would make sense to use it again here. But yeah, it was interesting.
Have we heard BBY or ABY like spoken at least?
No. I think in canon, I think the calendar like was reset when the Empire took over. So this would be like,
because that makes more sense. Like
18 0.
Like Order 66, the day the Jedi Temple fell.
Empire.
That should be like the best. That should be like the BBY. That should be the baseline.
Your Jesus Christ birth. Like, yeah.
But like the nerds have already like completely.
I think they tried it when Disney took over. If I remember rightly, they tried it for like a week or so, and then everyone was like, "Nope, we are so used to BBY. You can take our books, you can take our comics, you can't take our BBY." And to be honest, like I know things in relation to it. Like I know what's going on in 32 BBY and things like that. I can see it in my head that way. So I quite like that it's still around. That's one of those things.
But I was very excited to see it.
It was interesting. Used. Yeah. Before even that, we get that amazing Andor logo, the title screen. It's beautiful. And it reminded me a lot of that first shot in Rogue One with the ship coming through the rings.
Right.
And not because of it looked like that, but it just that same feeling of this is different. This is really pretty, like to start off. So I like that we got a bit of an intro. And then then we're in Space Amsterdam.
Yeah. Right. Which is really, really close to Earth Tron Legacy.
I mean, it's as he walks as he walks through that doorway. I've got Tron Legacy as a note here. Like,
but even the opening with the sort of curved street lights, looks like when Sam Flynn is riding to the End of Line Club or whatever it's called. I think it's called the End of Line Club.
I know the one. Yeah, on the.
But yeah, I was like, and then the music.
And it's
which
the
is great,
framing of him walking through that doorway as it's building up. It was great. Yeah.
Well, speaking of music, Hunter asked about the music. Compelling. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. That
was great.
Nicholas Brittle, I believe, did the music. Not super familiar with him, but the first moment that really stood out was when was it B2 Emo? Yeah. Whatever the little was on his own going through sort of the outskirts, and there was a real electronic sort of rhythm. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like this droid is cool. He has like his own theme. It's like electronic, which is interesting. We
see it rarely. Like, I mean, we talked about it a lot with Ludwig doing the Mandalorian and stuff, but like they are introducing these new sounds into Star Wars, and it doesn't feel as jarring and as different as it did when we got it in Mandalorian, because that was the first time that we had it. But it's cool. It's still like different and new music. I really like it.
And then I'm trying to think of it being 5 BBY, which would be Space 1972.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if he's using like synthesizers or any kind of like electronic musics from that era or instruments from that era to represent. to
We know
represent
that the music
BBY.
guys, all these music guys who work on Star Wars, especially,
Yeah.
like they love getting weird and deep with that sort of stuff. So
Because I like the idea of Star Wars has the orchestra,
yeah.
the London Symphony Orchestra,
Hmm.
um, and it sounds like Star Wars. That's what Star Wars sounds like.
Hmm.
And then you go to the prequels, which is whatever 20 BBY, or Phantom Menace, which is fucking
32.
Yeah.
32, 22, 19.
So that would be like the 40s, quote space
Yeah.
1940s, somewhere in there. And the music in that sounds more classical. It's broader. There's not just the orchestra, but like a choir and stuff. It sounds more like.
And then you get to
music.
when you get to like the chorus and stuff in episode 2, it is more. It's going back a little bit. It's more like weird and synthy, and but in a sort of almost like a 1930s sort of swingy sort of way. I feel like a little bit different. Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they're keeping up like if that's what they're going for with this music. A lot of it, I saw a lot of people online say that Andor's like the Michael Clayton of Star Wars. I've seen Michael Clayton like once.
Everyone's talking about Michael Clayton,
but the music did remind me of James Newton Howard's score to Michael Clayton.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that's sort of kind of what's
the Tony Gilroy sound.
Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor sort of like ethereal sort of ambient sound like that's also in this. So I'm wondering if people are equating it to that. It's hard to tell because this first episode we don't get too much story.
It's a lot of like, not, I wouldn't say place setting in a bad way, that I think can have a negative connotation. It's setting the tone, it's setting the mood, it's setting this
introducing the cast of characters.
Yeah. And they talked about it being like a paranoid drama or something, this show. And I feel like that a lot of people, me included, were thinking that that's going to be like all the behind the scenes building the rebellion stuff with Mon Mothma, who we haven't seen yet. And the sort of the political stuff going on there, and the who's actually on your side, who's a double agent, that side. But even this, right from the get-go, after Cassian kills those two guys, he's literally everything else. He is paranoid. He's stressed out because he knows that he's fucked up. He's got to get out to protect these people that, you know, he might not like all of them, but they're still his people. They're still his adopted world by the seams of things.
Yeah. When those guys approached him, I definitely had the same feeling as in Rogue One when he met, I forget the name of the dude at the beginning. Yeah. And he shoots him in the back because it was in the same small location.
Very
and I'm like,
much.
He's got nowhere to run. He's a trapped rat. And I'm like, he knocked him out and that was cool. But when that dude was dead, when that dude fell and hit his head and he was dead, I'm like, oh, this other guy's not going to make it.
Well, that's the thing. I was like, what story are they telling? Are they telling the story that this is Cassian Andor, who we've met before in the future, who will kill people to further the cause or to get away to better his own ends? Or is this how he gets to that point? Has he got there yet? At this point in his life, is he willing to pull the trigger? And we find out, he really is. Like, he seemed like genuinely a little bit upset and distraught that he killed that guy. I don't think he meant to kill that first one.
No.
But as soon as he did, he was like, well, shit, there's only one way out. There's no witnesses. Bang.
Yeah.
And the guy was trying to talk him out of it. And like, he was like, we can go in together and we'll basically corroborate the story. I don't believe that guy for a second. I think he would have flipped on Cassian straight away, but.
Right. And because those guys were, as I mentioned later, were not in a place they should have been to begin with.
Yeah,
so
no,
that guy would have.
That leads on to Scott's point here about accents and the Imperial, not Imperial, they're like the corporate, like the boss in the office who's giving notes.
Corporate security.
Yeah, corporate security. They're calling it the corporate zone in this, like in books and stuff way back when the LDU, there was always the corporate sector, which we heard about. So I'm guessing that it's essentially the same thing. Not Imperial, but like Imperial affiliated, the kind of like, they're like, if the Imperials are up here, the corporate sector and the corporate like police and stuff like that are just a little bit below, but they're those sorts of like uptight people. And yeah, we get some British accents here.
All kinds of accents.
All kinds. And like, I don't know, as a Brit, it's quite nice. Like, I actually like, I don't watch as much British TV because when I hear people talking in British accents, whether it's natural or not, it oftentimes puts me off and it feels quite jarring. And in American shows, when you've got the Brit, it's always they'll do one per show, and it can be from wherever, but like they'll do that one, and there'll be the one typical British character. Or in the case of Imperials, they always have sort of a stiff upper lip sort of thing. Whereas in this, we get a bunch, and I liked it.
Yeah,
it's good.
Scottish,
it felt
Irish.
Like there was some Scottish, there was some
This
Irish.
The big alien dude was not speaking an alien language.
No, he was. I don't know.
He like Scottish or something.
I didn't get enough of his dialogue to be able to sort of place it. I felt like he was just sort of grunting. He was just like a big dude. What? But yeah, he could have been from anywhere. He's just a big dude from anywhere UK. Yeah. I thought it was good, and I wasn't distracted by any of them, and I feel like they all work together. But I mean, you include Diego Luna in there, and you've got accents from all over the world, and it's good because this feels like a kind of a melting pot town or planet or wherever.
Yeah, I found myself having to like really pay attention to make sure I got the dialogue because of all the accents.
Fair enough.
And everybody has an accent in the show. I think the only one that did it was I swear he kept calling her Biggs.
Bix. B-I-X. I think
she was the only one that didn't have an accent of some sort. And maybe two guys but it's
like not a distinct like you could regionally place it. I know.
American accent is, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Just generic.
Yeah. So everybody, I'm like, okay, I gotta like really focus up on this. And there's so much that they don't tell you. They kind of drop you in the middle of Cassian's relationships with these people. So a lot of it's trying to pick up the context clues.
Yeah.
And then pay attention to the accents and then try to understand the story. And like a lot of the times I found myself like, okay, I'm able to follow this, but I just feel like a dum-dum sometimes.
When we cut over to the flashback of Cassian, or he was known as Kassa at the time, as a kid. The Lord of the Flies kids. Scott D here is talking about how they felt like the indigenous culture. They had no adults. That was the same thing. I put on subtitles just to see if, for whatever reason, they weren't translating it or if they hadn't popped up. No, it does just say Canary, like speaking in Canary. So like we're not meant to know exactly. We're meant to just pick it up.
But what's nice is I wasn't like bored by it. Like I was compelled by what was going on.
You don't need specific dialogues. You got the relationships. You got where he stood amongst the other kids, but then he's still a hero to his little sister. And yeah, I don't know if there was no adults. It looked like as they were all running off at the end, and the little girl, the sister was staying put. It looked like there was some either bigger people behind, or maybe like some of the adults or mothers or something were still back there. But definitely, like the hunters gatherers all seem to be the young people, which is interesting. And a lot more I don't know, indigenous and sort of less technologically advanced than we've seen anywhere else, which is really interesting.
Yeah, and it looks like they're only hanging out just making dye for their clothing and stuff.
Yeah,
so maybe that's what the kids do while the adults are out,
possibly
getting food.
But I mean, we don't know about this planet at all really yet. So I'm curious to know.
We know enough through the show that they may not be familiar with star cruisers crashing.
And were you thinking of the Ewok movie?
No, I wasn't, but I just now thought of it. But because some of them seem scared by it, some of them seem excited by it. They're not all like concerned.
They're not concerned, and but it's not a concern in terms of oh no, that's a star cruiser, that means danger. It's there's something falling from the sky kind of concern.
Oh, is that what
I
at the group at the end? That's what they're going for after, right? They're going to go check out
I
that.
would assume so.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're gonna go and see
Yeah.
what is over that way. I really liked it though. I thought it was interesting and it's cool. It's something we've not seen much before.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I mean, I'm sure that we'll get more flashbacks. We'll
Oh
follow on
yeah.
that story.
I
So,
think in the trailer we see. I
of
mean,
course,
I don't know if this
we
is a
see
spoiler. We
young
get
Kassa. Like,
Imperial, but we
yeah.
see the Imperial
Oh, we see a Star Destroyer come over,
Star
don't we?
Destroyer.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can't imagine it's going to go too well for most of those kids, but
Right. I mean, are they going to get it rounded up?
yeah, that's it. On my second viewing, I did wonder if Bix is also one of them. If Cassian and Bix are both from that, because they're definitely familiar with each other. They definitely have a history.
Right.
And when Cassian is talking to her about the boyfriend or the other guy at the scrapyard, he's like, "Does he know about me?" And she sort of is definitely like keeping a secret. So I feel like she knows more about Cassian. Second time round, I didn't get that was like a romantic thing. I think that's just that she knows a secret. So
Yeah.
we'll
That
see.
guy reminded me of Chris O'Dowd, and I was like, oh man, I want Chris O'Dowd in Star Wars.
I get that. He's definitely got that same sort of feeling about him. But
Yeah.
also in an Uncle Owen in Kenobi sort of way of like, he's just a guy about town doing his job. He just wants to get on with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a particularly bad guy, but definitely doesn't really like Cassian too much, I don't think.
Right. I saw online people were talking about how, and of course, Pete the retailer was excited about this as well. No lightsabers mentioned.
Yep.
They're mentioning no lightsabers in the series.
Yeah, they've said none at all.
Makes sense because by the time we get to Rogue One, the Jedi are like long forgotten.
Yeah.
Right?
So, the most that we'd get is if we see Saw Gerrera get to Jeddah, and we'll see a statue of a lightsaber.
We got some clone drop ships. We didn't get any stormtroopers. I didn't see a single stormtrooper. There's nothing in this other than like the droids look different.
Yeah,
this is like nothing familiar for Star Wars. You mentioned the Y-wing. There was a
So we got the ship that he took off of Molani 1 had Y-wing engines. Yeah. And then when we see that scrapyard at the end where he's like basically swapping out the transponder on it, it looked like there was a Y-wing cockpit that we saw.
Yeah.
So it looked like there was a few different ships there. It's essentially the uglies again from ODU where like they would just take bits off of other ships and attach them to other things. And so I kind of liked that and how seeing that you can just mix and match some of these things with a little bit of ingenuity.
But yeah, there's no real Star Wars stuff in this. Like we haven't seen a Star Destroyer, or you haven't seen stormtroopers or Imperial officers. We get this corporate security, which the outfits kind of sort of remind me of the security on Cloud City, which is kind of nice. It's a nice sort of little like continuity. Like this is how security people wear. This is kind of security guard colors is blue and orange.
And it's and even that is like we don't know that those security on Bespin weren't like part of a bigger sort of security firm that maybe have these guys. It could have been the same sort of firms, like something. There was the something Molani security company or whatever it was. So they could easily be part of that same firm.
Part of the Tabana gas mining.
Yeah, like they're just or they're the Tabana gas mining or like or Cloud City has hired that firm, like just as the security. We got to talk about that guy though. I got his name here. I had to again look it up. Cyril Khan, the officer.
The younger one or the older one?
The younger one, the absolute dog.
Dwight Schrute.
Yeah, like the guy has
a little tense for the job.
Oh my god! Like
unless he has a personal connection to one of the guys that got killed. I'm thinking it's either that or he's just way super into his security job. I liked him a lot.
I mean, it was really interesting, but yeah,
I like him as a character. It's like a really driven company guy, and I mean, we don't even see that out of Imperials. Imperial officers are just kind of stodgy and stuff, but this dude has
stodgy or like massive like racists and they're Imperial because they really believe in that. Whereas this guy, he believes in his job, and it's a job. It's not a doctrine. It's not a way of life. It's a job. If we follow him, I feel like if it goes forward, he's gonna get he's gonna get recruited by the Empire, I believe.
Yeah, I could see him. I could see him. Yeah.
Imperial Security Bureau thinks that he does a good job or something.
Yeah. Stevie says he's the only one that wanted to work.
To be honest, as someone who works in security, most of us don't really want to.
Yeah. What cracked me up was there was the 3 people at the monitors that he goes in. Not where he's tracking Andor's ship, but the three other people
in the white, the big light room.
Like, this is the first time there was normal looking people on the show. They just look like guys
and having a conversation about overtime, and it was it's good. It felt very grounded, and then he walks in and he's just instantly you saying Dwight is exactly that sort of energy. It's middle management. It's like he's their superior, but he's also getting chewed out by his boss, who's like, this is not worth our time. Brush it under the rug.
Oh my God.
They shouldn't have been there.
That I love that scene because he was going to have a conversation with the Imperials.
Yeah.
And what I loved about it is he essentially told the officer, this is an accident.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of Hot Fuzz.
If
you guys remember Hot Fuzz, for the greater good. And there's this town is the lowest crime rate, has a perfect squeaky clean crime rate, but there's a lot of accidents happening. So that made me happy because Hot Fuzz is one of my favorite movies. As far as Edgar Wright goes, it's my favorite Edgar Wright movie.
Oh, really? I prefer Shaun
by far. Shaun of the Dead's great.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I grew up liking action movies, and I was never really into horror. So I like Shaun of the Dead. I like Shaun of the Dead. It's amazing, and I saw it in the theater, and I was like, "Wow, this is great." But Hot Fuzz, where they did the same thing, but in my wheelhouse,
but for Point Break and everything else,
this is my jam. So hearing him say break down how it was an accident, and how their guys were in a place drinking a band a drink in a brothel that shouldn't be there, in an area where they shouldn't be
while they were meant to be on duty. And it's like
that's not good optics for the Empire when they come by and ask if things are being done orderly.
Yeah.
So I really like that. And that dude, the actor who was playing that guy with the sort of the receding hairline and the mutton chops, the white mustache, he looked like a Clone Wars character.
Yes.
He looked like a cartoon. He looked like he belonged to Pirates of the Caribbean or something.
Yeah, definitely. He's
oh, it's just perfect.
He was great. He's gone by the end of this episode, and clearly Cyril, which again, perfect name for douchey security guy, Cyril. He's not taking that advice. It's absolutely not going to be brushed under the rug. He's going to investigate this. And you know what? He seems to be pretty competent and good at the job. He's making everyone do all the grunt work, and he seems almost nervous about it. It's almost like his first chance to actually do something important. Because when he stood outside of the tracking room, there's some people laughing and stuff, and they're like, "Are you all right there, sir?" Almost going, "What a dog! Look at this guy."
He's sitting there in his head rehearsing what he's going to say to this guy to make sure he sounds like he has the authority to be there. Yeah,
definitely.
Oh boy!
Oh, we got a new follower here. Oh, guys, everybody. There you go. That is
mega.com. Thanks for joining us. I know there was a way at one point to delete these people out, but
block user. There we go.
How did you do that?
There are 3 dots. When you hover over the comment, there's 3 little dots, and then you can just hit block user.
You better watch what you say, Scott D.
Yeah, Scott D.
I see the 3 dots above yours. Oh, I was gonna hit it too.
There we go. But I've got a Scott Pilgrim sleeve here. You're not gonna get any hate from me for Scott Pilgrim. Really enjoyed that security officer. And I look forward to seeing more of him. He's the perfect kind of villain, in the same way that Krennic is such a good villain, because you really enjoy hating him.
Yeah, Krennic was great. Krennic also middle management.
Absolutely, it's that same thing, like
Yeah.
middle management, but in a higher authority, like place and position. Like I
What if
feel
this
like,
is young Krennic,
God, I hope not.
5 years younger?
It's actually it's actually his like little brother or something.
Okay.
It's Cyril Krennic.
So you're gonna have to show the sleeve, I think.
I do, yeah. I'll try and take some pictures and put them online or something later on. But yeah, I've got a lot of this is all Scott Pilgrim stuff. Um, there you go. There you go.
I can make you bigger, I think.
Probably.
Right? Here, let's do it.
It's so awkward.
Oh, here we go. Let's do it. Let's see them.
All right. Okay.
Okay, let's get in there. This is good for the audio listeners.
Yeah, there you go. So
oh yeah,
got all the evil X's.
Oh wow.
You got the little robot. It's Kim. It's Scott.
Wow.
It's one of my favorites is just under there. It's the drummer from the drawing of Crash and the Boys. It's upside down, but yeah, that drawing there, with her with her finger up. I really like that one. Envy's back there. It's pretty cool. Lost poster. There you go.
That's coming. That's I think tomorrow is the anniversary. Yeah.
Yes, definitely this week. We got a bunch of names thrown out in this episode.
I don't remember any of them.
I don't. I sort of tried to make some notes, but without knowing any spelling, I didn't bother like putting too many in. I'm pretty sure one of them was Brasso or Brazo, and it just made me think of Brazos from Only Murders in the Building, and it made me want Steve Martin to pop up in character as Brazos in this, which would be great fun. But I really liked the two guys who were trying to shake down Cassian. Like the one is the big alien who's like he's been hired as the muscle, but he's like, you just told me I had to stand here. He didn't want to do anything, and he seemed like he was actually quite a nice guy who was kind of friendly with Cassian. Whereas the guy who was trying to shake him down and get his deposit back, we don't know what for. Maybe for the ship that he was sort of semi living in. I don't know.
He was saying, he told the droid, he said, I wasn't here.
Yeah. So that's it.
Yeah.
And then I like the fact that he said to the droid, like, can you do a lie? Like, can you tell a lie? And he's like, well, yeah, but it'll use a lot of power, basically. It's like, I liked that. I thought that was really interesting.
And then I like that he said that's 2 lies.
Yeah, but in a really sad way. He's like, oh, the causeway, going right back to the beginning, the causeway that we see Cassian running along after he's killed the guy and he's walking up, reminded me so much of Rebels. On the planet on like the Lothal, when they go into town and then back out to like Ezra's tower that he lives in, that sort of that one stretch of road, that one highway into town and back out, it reminded me of that, like where it's sort of the one way in, one way out of this town.
Do you think we'll get Rebels characters in this? I really am kind of hoping, because you know me and my whole Dave Filoni character cameo of the week. I'm not a huge fan of it, and so far this literally had no Star Wars references in it other than Cassian, and the fact that there are robots and the fact that there are aliens, but none of them are like classic or prequel trilogy anything. I think the Republic gunships, the drop ships, are really the only Star Wars thing.
My friend Tristan's here, and he's in the same boat as me. He's hoping not, and I know that Tristan's a massive Rebels fan. So, for like as you and I both are as well. Like, so
we're getting Ahsoka. That's good.
We're getting Ahsoka. We know that all these characters have been cast in live action. We've got announcements, we've seen pictures of all of them now, pretty much. We know that Saw is in this, which is fine. That makes sense for the story that they seem to be telling. But we don't need Rebels. Like, Rebels is happening sort of concurrently around the same time as this. That's fine. But we've seen that story. That's happening over there. I feel like if they'd run into Cassian Andor, we would have seen it in Rebels. So we don't need to see it here.
The Ghost is in
Rogue One. Yeah.
I feel like a cameo that we will probably see that we haven't seen in the trailers is Bail Organa.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd be shocked
So
if we
that'll be
don't
fun.
see Bale.
Yeah.
They've got this weird thing with showing Bale in trailers and making it a surprise, but it's almost like every time something comes out, we get Bale Organa now, and they don't announce it beforehand because it was the same
Well,
with Kenobi, wasn't it?
I mean, look at Mon Mothma.
Yeah,
Like she was in episode 3, got cut out of it, and is now in more Star Wars than anybody.
yeah, and you gotta love it because she's great. Genevieve O'Reilly I can't wait for her to pop up. I'm looking like we got a lot of Cassian in this episode. We got all Cassian, and we've got Cyril. So we've got like the titular character, and then we've got what seems to be, at least for the moment, like the main antagonist.
Yes, a main antagonist. We have somebody like that was one of my main issues with Mando.
Yeah.
Was there's no real main guy on his tail.
Like
it's just the general he's wanted by people.
Yeah, it takes until the very end of the first season, and then even Gideon. There, and then even then, like Gideon's gone again for most of season 2. So
like setting up this guy, this middle management that's already like wants to find Cassian, and he doesn't know who he's after yet, is kind of like, oh, it's intriguing to follow his story and find out when he discovers who it is, and then him going after Cassian, and then will find out if it's a personal thing or if it's just him really wanting to do his duty. But I feel like something is of a personal nature as far as this case goes.
Yeah. And in trailers and stuff, we've seen that there's like the female ISB officer as well, it looks like. And I would assume that she is going to be like the antagonist for the Mon Mothma side of the story.
Yeah.
With I wanted to say Lars Mikkelsen, but that's Rogue One. With Stellan Skarsgård's character kind of being the bridge between the stories. Like I feel like he's going to be like the linchpin between the Cassian stuff and the Mon Mothma stuff, which would be really interesting to see. And then maybe the two antagonists like link up somewhere along the line, and we'll see.
Again, I'm not really into these cameos and stuff, but I mean, I love Solo, and I was like, Enfys Nest can probably pop in, but I mean, I don't even really want, like, I'm so happy with this episode. So, just being this.
Do you know?
And I want to see more of just this.
Do you know about there's an episode in the Solo novelization with Enfys Nest and selling the coaxium that they get given at the end? Well, not even selling, giving that coaxium to Saw Gerrera and his partisans. Okay. And it's told from the perspective of a young Jyn Erso.
Yeah.
It's Jyn seeing Enfys and her crew coming in.
It's a whole lot of people.
That is a whole lot. That's just a whole bunch of cameos. So like around this time, I know Jyn would have already gone from Saw's group at this time.
So okay, that's like, okay. Sure, young Jyn Erso could fit into this, a younger version. But I think they would have been separated by this point.
Yeah, I think because she's not seen Saw for a long time.
You can see Enfys Nest being in this timeline. You can't even see shit. You could see Alden Ehrenreich pop in.
I mean,
for some reason.
Yeah.
If he's working in the underground, same as Cassian.
He could have interacted with Cassian a lot easier than most of the other people, I felt.
Lando?
Yeah.
But I only want it if it is like an amazing story point.
Yeah.
Cad Bane in Book of Boba Fett could have been anybody.
Yeah.
And probably didn't even need to be there. But it felt like, hey, everybody, look it's that guy
you love that guy. Yeah.
So I'm hoping it's not like that. And I feel like the way this episode was set up, it's such a slow burn that I feel like they're like, we're going to make this Star Wars how we want.
Yeah.
And we're not going to end it like the ending of this isn't any sort of cliffhanger. It isn't any sort of reveal. Usually at the end of a first episode, it's, oh my God, there's a baby Yoda.
I'm really glad that they dropped 3 at once. Like I'm looking forward to watching 2 and 3, but it makes me go, okay, cool. They're not just dropping 3 episodes. It's these 3 episodes, presumably, or at least the first 2 maybe, because that was the original plan. they are like almost like essential watching all at the same time, because
And where this episode kind of ends in the middle of a scene, instead of like it wasn't like she's climbing that tower and then is communicating with somebody and then it's revealed, oh my god, she's communicating with Darth Vader. This story's going to be crazy. It was just like, I like that this show is like, no, we're not going to do the flashy Star Wars stuff.
No.
We have a story to tell, and here's
this goes Star Wars guys here. Hey, Star Wars guys, been a while. And he says about the writing and the directing, and I feel like that all of this stuff that we're talking about now and what we're enjoying is the sort of the Tony Gilroy of it all. He's coming in as an outsider. He's not a guy coming in playing with his action figures. He's not doing the Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni thing for good or for ill, like what they do. But Gilroy's telling a story about this guy or these people.
Gilroy came into Rogue One, right? To tighten things up and stuff like that. And I think it's funny
he's got a script credit. I found out something yesterday. I was listening to Dave Chen's Decoding TV podcast. And so Gilroy has a screenwriting credit on Rogue One. In order to get a credit like that, you have to have contributed at least 50% to the script. Mm-hmm. And he came in after there was already a director's cut. So like his influence and his work on that film is a lot. So he's contributed.
What's funny to me is he came in to sort of tighten it up and move things along with Rogue One. Yeah. Whereas this is the most amount of episodes we're getting from any Star Wars series. We're getting 13 of these, and the pacing of this is like a real slow burn. And so it's kind of the opposite of what he did with Rogue One, which I'm assuming is make it quicker and tighten it up, faster, more intense. This is probably the slowest, least intense Star Wars so far, but it's nice to kind of just relax.
But you breathe into it
and
like
not have everything in your face. Yeah. As much as but the thing is, it's like different from Mandalorian, where Mandalorian, it takes its time by just showing off the volume and having a guy walk around in environments. And it's
hey, look at this, isn't this cool?
But this is, I like this, that it's just like a ton of characters.
And it goes back to that thing that I said about like all of these people in this world, whether it's the guys shaking them down, whether it's just the people working the scrapyard, whether it's like, it's everyone. It's just, it feels like a more lived in real place, as opposed to the equivalent town is where Grief Karga is running in Mandalorian. I can't remember the name of it. Navarro, yes. Where that feels like there's the bar, there's a school, there's the trade office, and then there's a load of people doing background stuff.
Yeah.
Like that is just mean nothing. Like it's just yeah. I'm really excited to watch the second one and then the third.
And I think it's smart of Disney to put out 3, because if we just got this one, people would be like,
boring.
That's it? Like
like one little bit of action, there's nothing happens. Yeah.
It's like barely one bit
I mean, it's one like street fight. That's it. But yeah, no, I'm excited to watch the next ones. I'm gonna watch.
Yeah. I'm watching that tonight for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not getting up at 5:30 in the morning.
Again, it's great that you don't need to now. So
yeah. I don't know why Disney Plus is like the only streaming service that doesn't put their stuff up at midnight Eastern time.
It is weird, isn't it? They go West Coast, don't they?
Yeah. Which it's I mean, it's just
annoying for me because midnight Eastern for me, I could definitely do the night before, which would be great.
Me too.
Me
too. Because when the Orville was dropping, they were dropping hour and 20-minute long episodes this last season, but they would drop them at 9 o'clock Pacific time. I'd watch them because that's a great show. And so it's like, I'm like, man, I'd stay up for a half hour of Andor or 40 minutes of Andor.
Oh, definitely.
Like,
I mean, even if it's like because of the way I work and I finish at like 4:30 in the morning, even if they were there, like if they'd gone up at 4, I could watch it when I got home, and I'd be like, it's half an hour. Like I can do that before going to bed.
But I am glad they're roughly, it looks like a half hour to 45 minutes, so I don't have to wake up at 5:30. I think I can wake up at 6.
I think you can, and especially with it's the standard 7 minutes of credits at the end. So whatever the runtime is, trim a bunch of that off, and you're actually good. And it made me go, the other thing, talking about credits, we talked about it with Kenobi, where they went with the blue text, classic Star Wars movies, because that was like meant to evoke the feeling of one of the Star Wars movies. With Mandalorian and the Mandoverse shows, we've got the concept art, which is really cool. It works for that. This, we are just getting straight white text on black background. No flash.
And I don't think it's the regular Star Wars
it's a different font.
It's a different font.
It's very plain, but I like it because it separates the type of show that this is.
I guarantee you, if you go to Twitter and you follow Star Wars fonts, they'll let you know what that font is at the end credits today.
Great.
It's such a great follow.
I mean,
Star Wars fonts. If you're into that sort of stuff,
Star Wars fonts and Star Wars colors on Instagram as well. Like that's the other one that I think both of us like. These super niche follows are they're the best. That's the best kind of Star Wars Twitter and Instagram. Like Star Wars social media can be good. It's not all a toxic wasteland. We promise.
No, it's not. And I can't. I mean,
curate
again,
your
one of the reasons why we do this show early is because we want to get in before the discourse. I mean, also there's a whole time difference thing. There's
multiple reasons, but that is one of the big benefits.
But I won't be able to go look at the discourse because I'm assuming everybody's watched the first 3 episodes.
Yeah,
I'm really curious to see what the complaints are.
Yeah,
I'm really, I don't. You know what? I just don't care. Maybe I don't care. I don't need to see it.
I don't. I tweeted out last night from the live action account. Like, I'll talk about Minox, because, like, I feel like if you seeing people being those sorts of people online, just getting horrible about it. There's a couple of women in the show. There's a couple of people of color in the show. So I'm sure the gross people of the internet will find a way to do what they do.
Just all annoying accents.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. I couldn't understand them because they were speaking in a different accent that I speak. I don't know. Just post a GIF of a Minoc. Just do something. Like reply to them with a GIF of a Minoc and then just ignore them. Yeah. Don't be a dick. You don't have to like everything, but just don't be a dick about it.
Go watch the thing you like.
Yes, it's still
Go watch
there.
the Orville. Yeah. You can't not like the Orville. Orville's the best.
There you go. Should we wrap up? We're going to be back doing this again tomorrow.
Yeah, we are. So all of the stuff, follow and like and subscribe. If you're listening to this on audio, head over to YouTube and subscribe. At least check out the Data Link episode from 2 weeks ago, where we go through Rick's picture collection of Star Wars.
Great. Part 1 of that as well, because there's more coming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I kind of knew from the jump that we'd have to go and do more. Because we barely scratched the surface, and it's just all the stories that Rick told about the people involved with Star Wars that he got pictures and autographs of. So much fun. And yeah, all of the stuff. Star Wars, liveactionstarwars.com, Live Action SW is our website. You go back and scroll through old episodes. If you want to go watch last week's 5-minute long episode with just James, it was fine. It was fine. I watched it from bed. but man, it feels like I haven't talked to you in forever.
It's been a while.
I'm glad.
But this week you're going to be sick of me because we will be back at the same time tomorrow.
All right, man. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks for coming out and watching the first episode
and for not spoiling 2 and 3 for us. We really
we didn't have to tell you guys this time.
You guys are cool. We know you're not,
but it seems like for the most part everybody just watched the first one. I don't know if anybody's watched more than one, but
it's 7:30 in the morning on the West Coast, so it's a bit of a commitment.
The next 2 days we have plenty of time.
You got time. You can watch them, but again, like tomorrow, please don't ruin episode 3. But I might have watched it by then. But until then, until tomorrow, don't give in to hate.
Celebrate the love.
Punch it.